Welcome to another video of Freedom to Be Free. I'm here in Hamilton, New Jersey. My name is Brian Johnson. I'm at Casciano's Coffee Shop, a wonderful place to gather, to have conversations, great coffee, great food, and great atmosphere. A wonderful place to work as well. And in fact, it is for that reason that I decided to come here and record a series of videos that have to do with concerns in the nation. I'm taking my time. There's no regular rhythm to this just yet, but there is purpose behind it, and that purpose today is a conversation about gun control. What I speak are just my opinions. You have one too we'd like to share. I'd like to say also the last recording I had given was about wanting the politicians fired. I said that in a previous video that I demanded that because those politicians who have not lived up to their vows, who have consistently stalled the positive evolution of our grand nation, need not be in service to us any longer. The states united in America, and I kind of flip our letters a little bit. Instead of the United States of America, I felt the energy of newness that comes with saying that we are the states united in America with common cause of freedom and justice for all, for real. Not the old story, because the old story has old energy of a young country trying to get it together with people from all over the world with differences and needing to grow up as humanity to understand that when we come here to blend our diversities, it creates a new energy of freedom and being. If we give it respect and if we give the land upon which we are the same respect. And if you feel some kind of way about that, ask any Native American who's here, and it would be a great conversation to have with them without burying our heads in the sand concerning how we got here, or slavery, or the differences between the Euro cultures, even between Ireland and Italy and France. And we just have a mentality that which is different is not of us, and therefore it doesn't seem to have the same scale of humanity that we may have. And this is an incorrect position for us to take. Now, I'm not going in that direction today completely, but I thought I would lay that groundwork because I am really concerned about how we've been going along in this country concerning any issues, actually. But the gun control one is the major one. So today, gun control is on my heart. And I'd like to share with you my thoughts. I read them. In between this, I'll probably throw in a couple of extra thoughts that go along, but it's easier to do it this way for right now. Again, my name, Brian Johnson. The show we call Freedom to Be Free just has to do about having peace in our environment, living together within the multiple diversities that we are, and being able to live in harmony. It's not a new idea. It seems to be one that eludes us, but it's based on a lot of things that go on the inside of us, and then our neighborhoods and tribes that we consistently feel, just as we did when we were forming the country. We feel the alienation of other people, the diversities, the ethnicities, the racial differences, women against men, the whole gender thing, the geriatrics against the youth. This is foolishness. It's always a bipolar kind of thinking about our existence, and the diversities do not have the respect between each other that makes humanity what it is. If you say you believe in God or a creator, whatever you would call that, it would be foolish to think that with all the things that are created, something my late wife used to say, we can accept all of the diversity in the flowers and the animals and trees and everything else that we see around us, but we have a very difficult time being able to accept the diversities of humanity, being able to take those energies and learn from them, to humble ourselves before them, to be able to have great pride in our own while we're doing that. Nothing's missing in that. We're supposed to be able to edify each other. And since we're in a nation where this experiment is really taking place over the past couple of hundred years, it's very, very important to get this peace now, because if not, we destroy ourselves by the ignorance and the stubbornness that we've had over the couple of hundred years, or the fears that we carry. The way we do things with each other creates increasing fear over and over again. So, without further ado, let me share. Of course, this is my humble opinion, and thankfully everyone in America has one, or at the very least is entitled to theirs. Let me also say that yours and my balanced contribution to this conversation helps us as Americans to resolve this debate with diligent progress. Let me first say also that I firmly believe in our right to bear arms, and I firmly believe that inherent within the applications of that right are held the purposes of protection and hunting, and or just because we like guns or love to target shoot. However, it is tragic beyond words, all of the senseless deaths that have occurred because of fatal misuse. And there is nothing more heart-wrenching and glaring than to witness this misuse perpetrated upon our children. In the light of this tapestry of grief that has now covered our land multiple times, we, the people, recognize that this consistent thread of abusive, assaulting gun use and questionable acquisitions of the same requires profound and balanced conversation and then action. We as a nation sit in the obvious yet complacent seat as decision makers who must determine the wisest way to establish the rules of gun possession as they pertain to freedom and sovereignty and citizen safety. More recently and thankfully, and I must add embarrassingly, our children nationwide have seen no problem in bringing this conversation to the table and keeping it there in the light of such great and consistent tragedy, consistent in the sense that we can now catalog these American traumas with references to the year of occurrence, parts of the country, weapons used, and backgrounds of shooters, as well as how and where they received their weapons. And isn't that an irony? Data has been compiled, and there is still stagnation on the conversation. For the students, the parents, the teachers, the school workers, the moviegoers, and all the local communities affected, and the greater American community at large, there was no more time for policy dams and procrastination when there exists such a stream of data as this that reflects the need for the citizenry's full attention, and therefore for our leaders, who we with disheartened pause refer to as politicians, to be in full contact with their regional constituents. We all know that the watchdogs of our right to bear arms, the NRA, uses its great influence to establish national gun policy, and that this American organization seeks to protect that right vigorously. We might say that of a truth, they are the watchdogs of that aspect of our civil liberties. I personally find it difficult to blame them for their consistent positions with respect to their mandate or their legal modus operandi to effectively sustain the same. However, what disturbs me is the lack of real conversation devoted to the full purpose of reasonable and balanced legislation that goes beyond the one-sided influence. Our lawmakers certainly have every right and duty to defend the rights of any and all groups of citizenry who are constitutionally compliant, period. And this assumes that that necessity be sustained and within the context of our nation's sovereign diversities, defended even when the most unpopular positions held by those groups may be attacked by our nation's knee-jerk reactions to a tragedy. For oftentimes, the truest data does not warrant the blanket implementation of restrictive laws. However, this conversation is not about one but several tragedies, and our knees are giving way. Our knees are giving out. First begging, and now demanding that we all crawl through this very difficult dialogue with a much more common sense approach. Unsettling is this one thing that strikes me in particular. I've noticed that those politicians, legislative groups, and/or individuals who are strongly connected to powerful lobbies are so much more apt to speak, defend, call to action, implement, etc., much more swiftly where their private constituencies are concerned. In essence, I feel the jadedness that stems from a history of special interests, payoffs, etc., that delay, squash, skew, undermine, or accelerate agendas that suit their private benefactors accordingly. Suspiciously now, I even know who some of my so-called leaders are, who before were hiding behind the short-term memories of the people, lifting up their heads to smile and wave in areas of convenience. However, the multiple traumas of consciousness that result from this sad and paralyzing history of massacres is the alarming inconvenience that makes it impossible for each and every one of us to not be real about this. So we have double negatives, massacres, and repeated inept responses due to lack of real national dialogue and consequent implementation of policy. Finally, it's our kids who say, that's enough. The greatest positive out of this thus far is that this rising generation of our children who have witnessed such unprecedented and unacceptable tragedy are doing the damn thing. the very damn thing that too many of us, too many of our elders had lost passion for. That is defending our rights, just like the NRA would. But if we need cash to lobby and make that happen, then let us look at our democracy with fresh eyes and remove those who would receive cash and gifts to influence our inalienable rights as the people of the SUA, the states united in America. Express your balanced opinion on this approach to realistic gun control when you have a moment. Come together in coffee shops around the country and sit down and relax. Let someone video these conversations so that we all get a take on how people feel everywhere. It is everyone's right to bear arms, no question. It is everyone's right not to bear arms if they choose. So in between that is a real story that we have to talk about. And I don't mean hide away from it, let it simmer for a while and then slowly fade out and cool. Keep it hot, keep it real, keep it civil, keep it balanced, keep it wise. Eldership step up, join the children who see this clearly, and find a solution. We say that in the American way, we can always get things done in that fashion. And then let us get that done. Stop playing around, and if I might say, just stop bullshitting with life. This is real. So get to work. Peace be you. Be free. Be loved.